traveler, author, entrepreneur, and master teacher. My life began on the 5th of March, 1993. I can hear you saying, that's ridiculous. How can an old guy like you have been born in 1993? Well, I wasn't born in 1993. I was reborn in 1993. I was one of those driven, passionate young men that was determined that I was always going to be in front, and no matter what happened, I was extremely competitive and nobody was going to beat me. Well, I did get beaten. On the 5th of March, 1993, I was driving down the highway when some other young man who was as driven as me, as passionate as I was, he decided that he wanted the fast lane. Well, so did I. And there was absolutely no way that I was going to allow him to get into the fast lane. So for a couple of minutes, we sped down the highway, determined that each of us was going to have the fast lane. Well, the universe had different plans. And eventually, after bumping each other a number of times, he eventually bumped me into the center of the highway. My car overturned, slid across the highway. And in the process, I fractured my spine. C5 and C6. Now those are pretty important parts of the spine. That's the parts of your spine that controls your motor skills. It controls whether your arms and legs are going to work. Well, that was the big problem. The small issue was that I'd lost 20 by 16 centimeters at the top of my head, so it wasn't a pretty sight. Went to the hospital, was lying in hospital and not in a good place. I was really struggling with this whole concept of not being able to move. I'd gone from this passionate, driven young man who was determined to be successful and determined that his life was going to work, to an invalid, to somebody who could not even get up and go to the toilet. Well, that massive transformation started my rebirth. It started me thinking, well, what am I doing wrong? What is wrong with what I've done up to now in my life? And I finally realized that I was driven by the wrong things. I was inspired to do the wrong things. And that's when my journey really started. I realized that I needed to change. I had to change because lying there, I didn't have too many options available to me. I could choose to be a victim. I could choose to wallow in my own pity and just give up. Or I could make a decision that I was going to take that drive, that determination, and turn it into something positive, something that I could use to fix my life. Well, that's exactly what I did. I was lying there the one day, and the doctor walked in, and I wasn't able to move, and he looked down at me, and you know when they've got that empathetic little look on their face, and they look down at you, and they go, "You're going to be here for a long time, young man." And I looked up at the doctor, and there's a race in South Africa. It's a marathon. It's an ultra marathon. It's 56 miles. It's a heck of a long race. And I looked up at the doctor and I said to him, "You know, doctor, I'm going to run the Comrades Marathon next year." And he looked down at me and he went, "You know, young man, it's good to aim for big things, have big goals." And so I did. Every day I started to take small actions, to do tiny little things that were going to lead me closer and closer, just that one step closer to walking again. And that's where I learned the power of the compound effect, where it's not doing massive things for short bursts, but it's about doing tiny, small, almost insignificant things day after day after day, and amazing things happen. And that was the first part of my enlightening, where I realized that success is about a lot of things done over a long period of time. And yes, I did. I ran Comrades the next year. I competed, I finished the race, and in hindsight, when I think back, I realized that the better thing to have done was probably to have laid on the ground and have one of my relatives beat me on the bottom of my feet for 10 hours with a hammer. Would have been a lot less painful. But it wasn't about that. It was about the success. It was about understanding that anything is possible. Your life opens up to any possibility, to any probability. when you're prepared to take those small, tiny, insignificant steps and keep doing it. And at that time, I brought these 3 words into my life. And these 3 simple words were, I will until. And I decided that I will keep persevering until I walk again. I will keep persevering until I run the comrades. I will keep persevering until I become the kind of person that deserves the type of success that I want to bring into my life. And so yes, I was born. I was born on the 5th of March 1993. And since then, my life has just evolved and become something amazing and incredible. I thank you for coming into my life and listening to my story. The process, I think, John, is what you're really saying, is see everything you find in your life, be it the job that you're in right now, which may not be ideal, as part of the process, as part of the growing experience. So it's something that's developing you, because ultimately you attract success by the person you become. So if you use that as a tool, as a medium to move you in the right direction, you're on the right path. Anything you can say thank you for authenticity, because it's got to be a really tough thing to be going through, going from right at the top, having all this wealth, to right at the bottom, and to have the courage to talk about it. I mean, it does 2 things. One, it helps you cope. And I think secondly, it makes you real and authentic. And you're not the first person, I think, that's gone through those things. And I think that's the secret to businesses, is to be heard. She hasn't aligned her values with what success is. You get to the tree in the distance.
Hi, I'm Janice Barry, the Managing Director of Hay House South Africa. Recently we toured Elizabeth Whiter, who's the author of The Animal Healer, a UK author, and also Sonia Choquette, who of course we all know very well. They were interviewed by Andrew on his station, and I have to say that they came back absolutely thrilled and raving. He is one of the few radio stations who actually knows what he's talking about. He's read the books, he actually believes in what they say, and he has complete empathy and connection with what they are saying. So they were absolutely thrilled and really loved every minute.